You'll never see us coming. Do. All right, welcome back, everyone, to the third week of the Frosty Canucks podcast. I'm your host, Jason, along with Frosty.
Hey, was I supposed to say something more than that?
No,
Okay.
it's fine. I'll
All
edit
right.
that part out.
You don't have to edit it out.
Our first topic of the day is we got some news because there's a new console generation happening from Michael Pachter. So for anyone who doesn't know, he's an American video game and social media, digital media, and electronics analyst. And oftentimes during the new console generation, he likes to say a lot of stuff. Some things okay on point, some things not. He's kind of the Armand White of video games. So, Frosty, I don't think you know anything really about him, right?
I don't know who this person even is at all.
All right. Well, I will share some of his current opinions.
All right. I am braced and ready.
All right. So the first thing is he's fairly certain that Microsoft's Bethesda acquisition will shift a few million copies from PlayStation to Xbox. Now, that's kind of a little bit of that probably wouldn't make sense. A lot of people like Bethesda games, and as we discussed last week, that kind of seems like a bit of a no-brainer.
I mean, I don't necessarily know about that because I still think that like the Bethesda games are still going to end up on Sony's platform. But if they don't, then I could see that happening.
Yeah, no, if they keep it hostage for sure, that makes sense. But if it
keep it
goes the way
hostage,
yeah,
that's a good term for it, hostage. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, if we go with the thing that we thought last week, which was they're still going to pump them out. They care more about the software, then for sure that's going to happen.
Yeah.
To keep this in context, this is all stuff he said since the 1st of October, so he said a lot. The next thing is he thinks that Sony blew it with the PS5 digital edition by saying, "Oh, they're losing a little bit of money because it's that $400 and I guess it costs $440 or something like that, or $450 to like make the thing."
Aren't most consoles, at least in the initial stages, sold at a loss, and then after the first couple of years, they like make it up?
Yeah, most of them are, and then they proceed with getting their money back from the software sales.
And I guess the other thing is that they don't even have enough units to meet the demand for the console either. So
No.
it's not like, in the future when they produce more of these things and the price slowly starts to come down on manufacturing them because they're made of older parts or whatever. Like I'm sure that they'll get their return eventually.
Oh yeah, no, it happens all the time. I'm sure it happened with the Switch. It happened with all the previous consoles. Yeah, they'll make their money back and they'll make it back to software sales as well, I think, whether that's first party or the third party ones.
I'm not actually 100% certain that Nintendo ever sells their consoles at a loss. The Switch's incredibly high price point for what you get is part of my reasoning for that, but I'm not 100%. Like, don't quote me on that. I don't have any information to back that up.
That's fair. They never are like leading the technology end. It's always like kind of last gen hardware, but
Well, they did once, and it was the GameCube, and that sold so fucking bad that they said, "Hell with this. We're never going to do this again." And then they sold the Wii, which was a GameCube with motion controls attached to it.
And it's
from
like
a
the
technical
best-selling
perspective, and it was like like you just said, it was one of the best selling things ever.
Yeah. So he thinks he blew it with that. Another reason I disagree with that is because if you get a lot of people on the digital end, they're only going to buy the digital, like they can only buy the digital copies. So
yeah,
they're making more money off that.
Yeah, they can't buy secondhand games.
Yeah, there's no secondhand games or anything like that. It's like they'll make their money back really damn quickly because they're cutting out GameStop, your EB Games,
Amazon.
Oh yeah, and Amazon. Yeah. So yeah, they'll cut out that middleman.
Like I'm pretty sure I know more people buy physical games from Amazon than they do from actual game stores.
Then he said Sony is in a good position to buy Warner Brothers. Metal Gear not worth much without Kojima.
So I agree with the assessment of Metal Gear.
As do I.
Warner Brothers net worth.
So they're like Batman and Mortal Kombat.
$5 billion company that's got.
Well, it's probably just the games division though, because that was up for sale at one point.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Warner Brothers decided that it wasn't actually worth their money to keep putting out games since their movies do like way better.
Yeah, and then they withdrew from it. I can't remember why. I think they just were like, oh, everyone's liking the new Batman Gotham Knights game, and then the Suicide Squad. Like, those were the two that got revealed, and then they kind of were not taking offers yet, or at least not publicly.
Yeah, they don't actually have a Wikipedia page link for their technology and digital networks division, and I think that those would be the ones that would do the games, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So I don't know what its individual worth would be, but that sounds like a weird acquisition to even postulate. But then before Microsoft bought ZeniMax, I wouldn't have, if you had asked me like the day before, hey, do you think Microsoft's going to buy ZeniMax? I would have told you no way, not a chance in hell.
Anything's on the table.
I just don't know if it'd be worth Sony's time to invest in that at all, because I guess that's not true. I was gonna say because their games division isn't their most profitable one, but I think it's one of their more profitable ones because like the technology side of things isn't doing great, and like their movie side is doing amazing. They made money hand over fist with their terrible movies. So,
Yep.
well, I guess I should qualify it. Some of the movies that Sony Entertainment puts out are terrible. Some of them are okay.
So then he proceeded to say Xbox will take up about 45% of the next gen market, will be hard to outsell the PS5.
Not a chance in hell. I expect it'll look exactly the same. I mean, okay, so if ZeniMax games are held hostage, maybe. But if not, I expect the distribution to look exactly the same as it does right now.
I think it'll take up a little bit more, like the Xbox side, but not much. I think it'll, yeah, mostly be the PS5 at the helm again.
Yeah, if people have one game system, like one game console, I expect it'll be a PlayStation in the majority of cases.
Well, a lot of people just, if they have two consoles, they usually have the Nintendo one because Nintendo's got all those
Yeah, exactly.
their exclusives that are like Animal Crossing, Pokemon, all that stuff.
I've said this for a long time. No one buys a Nintendo console as their primary console. And like there are, obviously there are some people who do, but the majority of cases are the Nintendo console is used as a secondary console that you have to like it's used as a supplementary thing that you occasionally pick up to play games versus your like primary console where you're actually playing like spending most of your time. And that might piss people off, but whatever.
No, I kind of agree to it that too. I play mostly. I'm sure you play mostly on PC and then a little bit on the Switch. I play a lot on my PS5 or PS4 and then the Nintendo Switch later.
I spend more time playing my 3DS and my DS than I do a Switch actually.
Fair enough. There's a great library of games.
Yeah, I just keep replaying old games that I really like from that, and I do that more often than I pick up the shared Switch I have with Miranda. So,
All right. So then he proceeded to say The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel might sell up to 40 million units. Now, I didn't pull this up, but Switch console sales.
selling
Let's see.
games on the Switch.
It says it sold 62 million units. So you're telling me 2 out of every 3 people are going to buy it.
Yeah. Other thing is that would be double the number. That would be more than double the number of units that the original Breath of the Wild pulled. That would make it the best-selling game on the Switch by over 10 million units.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any data that would support that, but I guess he can say that if he wants.
Yeah, this is why I said like kind of the Armand White of video gaming.
Well, so
Like,
like my whole thing is Mario Kart on just about every console that it appears on is one of the best selling, if not the best selling game.
mhm.
And Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the best selling game on the Switch by a very large margin. I guess it depends on your perspective of large. It's sitting at around 27, according to numbers from June 30th, 2020. It's sitting at just under 27 million units, and Animal Crossing New Horizons is at 22 and a half. There's like a what is that like almost a 5 million gap there. So that's that's not an insignificant amount with the numbers that you're dealing with there, because it's almost a 20% increase. And then yeah, like Breath of the Wild sitting at spot number 4 at 18.6 million. For it to sell 40 million units, that'd be first of all, I'd have to outpace Mario Kart Deluxe, which I do not see happening. Yeah, I think a lot more people would actually have to own Switches for that to happen.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
said how many people, like how many units is there approximately?
Quick Google search says there's 62 million Switches sold as
Yeah,
of
and then
this year.
historically the best selling, most popular IP on any Nintendo console, Mario Kart, has a attach rate of about 1/3. You're telling me that you think Zelda's going to have like a 66% attach rate. Those numbers will go up. The Switch owners will probably go up between when like now and whenever that happens, but I do not think that will happen.
Yeah, no, neither do I. It's just kind of crazy.
Actually, I just as a side bit, because I always find this very interesting. So I just as a side bit, because I always find this very interesting. So that Mario Kart is number 1, and Animal Crossing is number 2. You want to guess what number 3 is? Third best-selling game on the Switch.
It's not Pokemon. Can I get a hint?
It's one of Nintendo's biggest.
God damn, that's not a good hint.
Well, if I said anything else, you would know.
Okay.
You'd know what it is.
Okay, genuine guess. And you said number 4 is Zelda, so it can't be that. Not Paper Mario.
Oh no, Paper Mario is not even in this list.
Well,
of top
that just
10
came
best.
out. That's not even fair.
Well, no, I don't even think it even at the end of the console's life cycle. I do not think it will be in like the top 10, even maybe not even the top 20 games.
I can't guess.
It's not Mario.
Monster Hunter?
What the no.
Damn it! I don't know.
I said it's one of Nintendo's biggest, you dumbass. It's Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Oh, that's got Mario in it. Damn it!
I said it's not Mario. So it's Mario Kart, which is like Mario kind of. It's Mario adjacent. Then Animal Crossing, which did really well, like way better than it ever did historically. Thank you, COVID. Smash Ultimate, Breath of the Wild, Pokemon, Super Mario Odyssey, then Pokemon again, then Mario Party, Splatoon, and Mario again. The re-release of the Mario, the one with the squirrels and the nuts.
Okay, yeah. Well, no, I was not gonna guess that, mostly because I've not been much of a Super Smash fan for a while.
Smash is like the best-selling fighting game ever because, of course, it is. It has a bunch of characters from a bunch of different franchises. That's the only reason that it's super popular.
Yeah, and Minecraft Steve's in it now.
Yeah, that shit broke Twitter and it broke the eShop the day it came out.
I believe that.
So, which is Twitter I was not expecting. The eShop I was, because Nintendo doesn't know how to do anything on the internet.
So how long do you think until we get Master Chief in there? Because now that's on the table.
Yeah, I don't know how long or if that would even happen.
It'll come out and then
it'd be interesting. It's like Banjo kind of made sense because Nintendo has like history with them, and that's the thing. Actually, that's not true. I was gonna say every character has some history on Nintendo consoles, but I don't know if King of Fighters has ever been on a Nintendo console, like at all.
I would agree with you, but then there's Persona 5's Joker wasn't on there initially, but now it is because of Persona 5 Scramble, which I haven't played yet. So
motherfuckers thought that meant that Persona 5 was going to come out on the Switch. That was no, that's never happening. There's a reason why that's never happening, but I'm not going to divulge it now. We're probably already going over time with this topic that was supposed to be our introduction.
That's perfectly fine. So yeah, he's gone a little crazy with the numbers there. Then he proceeded to say Sony hasn't done something like the Game Pass because it doesn't make much economical sense.
Sony already has done something like the Game Pass. PlayStation Now.
Yeah, they have PS Now.
Yeah, I was like, did I get that name right? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. No, you got that name right.
Yeah, and you can play it on PC as well, and you've been able to play it on PC. You could play it on PC before it was even available in like certain European regions, which made no sense to me.
That sounds like Sony.
It's just like some of the people who own the console in certain European regions couldn't subscribe to PS Now because it wasn't available, but it was available like everywhere on PC, which is, I don't know. That company is run by a DVD copy of Shark Tales, or at least the games division is.
So what you're saying is Will Smith owns the game industry?
Yep, Big Willie owns the whole game industry.
God damn it, he owns that and YouTube. Shit. Anyway, okay, and last but not least, yesterday.
Oh boy.
Or well, a week ago, he said this statement: third-party game sales on PS5 and Xbox Series X and S this holiday will depend on the supply. No fucking shit.
It takes a real he really had to think on that one. I'm curious to see specifically with that how the numbers look as far as physical versus digital with regard to that. Just because with the coof going around, I don't know if as many people will get it. I guess they'll get it delivered. That works. But if they if they got their brand new console and they can't get a copy of what the fuck games are even coming out at launch.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Watch Dogs Legion, Yakuza Like a Dragon, the new Call of Duty and the Cyberpunk game. Some of those are in.
Yeah, you can play every single one of those fucking games on the previous generation of consoles. So
that's true,
and they cost less money there.
Yeah, and for the most part, you can play it on that new console.
Yeah. Okay. I guess this is why I figured most of the games that are coming out are like no one's gonna miss out if they don't have the new box.
No, like really, the only thing that the PS5's got going for it, it's not even the Spider-Man game. It's the Demon Souls remake. That's the only big one that's not backwards compatible with the PS4 or has a PS4 equivalent.
There's a whole other topic there.
That's okay. All right, so that's all I've got for this Michael Patcher character.
What a fascinating individual.
Yeah, and that's all in the span of about 15 days. He likes to say a lot of stuff. Some of it okay, some of it just no shit, some of it what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, that 40 million Breath of the Wild, that's a little bit. I don't see that happening. Maybe 30 million if the console has like 100 million sales, like units sold by then. I could see them breaking 30 million with it.
But you'd think it would have to be like the previous game would also have to have had that amount of success because how many
No. No.
no?
That's not how sequels work. Typically, when you release sequels, the sequel will do better because people recognize the name and more likely to buy it. It's a really weird like marketing type thing, but sequels typically always do better than the previous entry. I mean, a successful sequel rather does better than the previous entry in a franchise because people are like, "Oh, this is a sequel. That must mean it's a good game." Which is
That makes
why
sense.
a
Yeah.
lot of big companies only put out sequel after sequel after sequel, or they try to attach a name from a popular property to a game that otherwise wouldn't sell, which, like Nintendo does all the time with like Mario, whatever, so that people will buy whatever, like Mario Party, Mario Tennis. I don't know if they do that as much. I guess Mario Tennis was a thing on the Wii U. But yeah, like or like Mario Kart, which is so successful, it might as well be its own fucking brand.
Right. Okay. So let's move on to our big topic of the week, free to play business model. And we're going to start off with the hot new game, Genshin Impact.
So you have been playing Genshin Impact. I have not because I looked at this and I was like, this looks like weeaboo trash. I don't know what this is. For the uninitiated like myself, please elaborate on what Genshin Impact is because I just see anime titties all over my Twitter timeline and I don't know what it's from. Well, I assume it's from this game, but like I don't know what's up with like what is this game?
A decent amount is the sheer number of waifus. And I guess the equivalent would be the husbandos. I don't remember
Yeah,
really
Husbando
what
is the
is
the
that? Is
male
that
version.
okay? Good. I got it right then. Yeah. So anyway, my initial impressions are it's a really solid game. It's definitely made me want to go and actually buy the game that everyone was complaining about last year that it looked oddly similar to one Zelda Breath of the Wild. So that's on my Christmas list to get. So yeah, it's a solid free game. So a lot of it has to do with you'll have the maybe basically a main quest that you'll follow, and just for context, I have gone through the prologue, which is like the first continent, which is kind of wind based, and then I've gone through about I'd say half of the story in the Earth area.
Okay.
And I just today got to level 29 with my adventure rank. So there's a lot of levels, and I'll kind of explain that. So you've got your character level. Now that'll be your basic attacks, and like how much damage, how much health you've got. And that's weird because what happens is you can level up through actual gameplay, but it's a very small amount of what you're actually going to be doing to get your level increased. What you're going to be doing is you're going to have these books that basically are used, and you power up your character's level through. So like one will have like 2,000 experience, the other one will have like 10,000, something like that, and you'll be using the books. Now this makes sense because
So is it like a pickup item in the world?
so it's a pickup item in the world. You'll get it a lot from chests or doing the quests or doing your daily quests.
So you're rewarded more for actually questing and exploring versus doing combat. So the focus is on exploration and
A lot of it is based off of exploration, yes, and I'll get into that, which is one of the
okay.
things I really love about the game. But back to the levels. Now, you'll get capped at certain levels. So I got capped at level 20, and then you had to get to adventure rank level 15, which that's done through either exploring the world, doing quests, doing miscellaneous other like kind of adventure related tasks in
What
your book,
the-
which are all kind of tied to going back to like exploration and maybe a little bit to do with fighting certain enemy types. Once you reach that, then you have the ability to do kind of a rank up quest, which will be usually fighting either a really hard boss or something like that. And then you have the ability from there to go to the next kind of level bracket. So
the next kind of soft cap in the leveling progression.
yeah. So right
Okay.
now I've got one character that's level 50. So I've had to go through 2 adventure rank kind of quests.
Okay.
Cool thing about this is once you do that, also the world level increases along with you. So now those enemies that were like level 4 at the beginning, they're going to be like level 30 or something like that. So they're not going to be as easy as they once were. The world levels up with you. Like, so it's not like it's, oh, I'm going to go to this area and then just smack, you're gone. And that's the 3 kind of levels in the game. It's a lot of little systems. Co-op is a main component of the game, and the only thing kind of meh about it is the fact that you have to get all the way to adventure rank level 16. I kind of think this is good and bad because I like the idea that like, oh, I could just start this up and within like maybe let's say half an hour of gameplay, I can get in with like friends and stuff like that. No, you're probably going to be spending a good like solid, I'd say maybe like 5 hours before, maybe 5 to 10 hours before you're even at that level.
So like fundamentally, you have to learn how to play the game on your own before you can play with other people.
Yes, and that's what I was gonna say is actually kind of the better thing is like by that point you will have kind of gone through a decent amount of the prologue and you'll have understood the different mechanics. And the main campaign is also tied with your adventure rank, which means like the doing the basically the main quests and some of the side quests are those are tied with them.
Okay.
So now we'll get on to the character portion. So the game is going to give you your main character. Now you get to pick either the girl or the boy, and they'll talk
Obviously
very.
the girl.
Hmm?
Obviously the girl. Only correct decision.
Oh fuck! Well, I fucked up then. I went with the boy.
Oh well. Your lack of faith in waifus, I find it disturbing.
No, I want other waifus. Anyway, and we'll get into that. So each one's kind of got like a different element. Your main character will have the ability to do like wind stuff and then earth stuff later on. Now the wind specials are, I'd say, are much better than the earth ones. I think the earth ones are kind of missed because kind of does like the earth one does like a spike and that's about it, and then it just stays there and it doesn't really do much more damage. Whereas the wind one you can kind of hold down, and if you're by something that's got like a different element, like fire, you can almost kind of absorb the fire into it, and then you can just wreak havoc on certain enemies. A lot of the enemies are they've got certain like quirks to them. So some will have like a shield, a wooden shield, and you'll have to bring out the fire character. Now, the free one is Amber, and unfortunately, a lot of people say that she's like the worst, but you're stuck with her because she's like one of the few fire users I've gotten like for free, if any. Actually, I haven't gotten any fire users for free yet.
How can she be bad? Look at how cute she is. Sorry, I got the website up. She's got like little goggles and shit on
No,
her
no,
head.
her
She's
character. No, her
adorable.
character model is really good. It's her specials that are not the best, which is why she's like down on the list. At least officially on the down on the list from like the sites that I've looked at. Her special is essentially that bunny doll thing that's just gonna dance and it distracts the enemies and then it will blow up. So it's it's okay.
No,
And
as soon as you said a tier list, I immediately looked up a tier list, and Amber is the only one in D tier.
exactly. That's like everyone shits on her, but she's the one of the few fire users, so she's still in my party. The other two would be that you get are the lightning lady. I can't remember her name, and then you got the ice guy. Now these are the free ones you're gonna get. There are 2 more that you can get.
I'm
One,
just gonna assume that the first 4 characters on this website are the characters you get. So it's like Jean and Amber, Lisa and
yeah, Lisa.
uh Sweet Jesus, I can't say that. I'm gonna say it's Keanu.
I don't think that's it.
That's not at all how you say it, but
No,
I see it.
but
That's what I'm gonna call. That's what I'm going with.
so yeah, a lot of it has to do with then the gotcha system. So you're gonna get these wishes, and these wishes will either bring down weapon after weapon after weapon, or if you're really, really damn lucky, you're gonna get a husbando or a waifu.
Okay.
My first pull was surprisingly, I think, better than what I've seen other people do online because I was surprised and I was thinking, oh, maybe they manipulated it for the first one. So I got 4 characters on my first pull. Now, the odds for that are very, very low. And one of them included a 5-star. So I got like extremely lucky on my first one. So I don't know why that is. But what we're going to do shortly is I'm going to turn on my PS4 and we're going to do one live.
All right.
Problem was I was going to have this already preset so there wouldn't have to be the setup part. But my damn PS4 Pro is so goddamn loud because it's just a piece of shit.
That's because it's a console. Consoles are shit. I'm sitting next to my computer and you never hear it at all.
Well, yeah. So, yeah, it's so goddamn loud. The fan is awful. It's known for it, which is why the PS5 has got like that really good cooling thing. Speaking of, it's funny because the PS5 is going to be it's going to be really cool cold because it's got the cooling thing. The Xbox One X apparently runs very hot but very quiet. So I find that funny because a lot of people say it's a fridge, and now I'm like, I don't want a fridge that's so goddamn hot.
That's fair. So let me just see if I got the gist of this right. So it's like a MMO style game, but it's not an MMO. And you run around, you explore, you do quests. Eventually, you can do co-op, and you get you make like a party of characters. And instead of just getting them in the story, you have to I mean, I guess you start off with a few, but that you gotta get them from gacha packs.
A lot of
Instead.
them come from the gacha packs, and they've got maybe about I'd say less than 20, but they're gonna put more in as time goes on. From what I've read, this developer likes to do things in like 5-week increments. Like the first big update's gonna come at like the 5-week mark, and then so on and so forth.
That's pretty normal for free to play stuff, just because it helps to drive constant engagement if you have new content coming out all the time. So people are actually they have an incentive to keep checking out the game over and over again.
Yeah, the funny part is that next update is going to kind of coincide with the release of the next gen consoles, and then like all those games that are getting released around then. So it's kind of going to get a little bit suffocated during that time. Yeah, no, I've had a great time with this game. A lot of the mechanics are good, and it pulls a lot from different games. So you got like The Witcher 3 sense. You don't even really use the damn thing at all. It's got that Legend of Zelda vibe. It's kind of got like the Nier Automata dodging kind of mechanic. It pulls a lot of things from different games.
The Nier Automata dodging mechanic? You mean the dodging mechanic that every Platinum game has?
Yeah, that's true.
Where you press a button and it does a really flashy, obnoxious dodge, which is really stylish because it looks great.
Yeah, more or less. Let's see. We'll just do it live, and you'll have to believe me on my polls.
I mean, we'd have to do that regardless. There's no video.
That's true. All right, so we're gonna start with the character event wish. I have 10 of these per. So let's see what I get. I pull. I'm encouraging gambling. Don't do this. Oh, I got a character on my first pull. What the hell? It's like it knows I'm on a podcast.
Which one did you get? I got the list of characters.
It's the Shengling girl.
What? Shengling. I don't see anyone with that name. Maybe I gotta look at the tier list again. Where's the tier list?
It starts with an X. It starts with an X.
Xingling?
Yeah.
She's a fire character, and she is apparently A tier.
Yes, and now I've got her. So now I can get rid of goddamn Amber. Perfect.
Yeah, apparently she's A in every category and S against bosses.
Cool. Perfect.
Where Amber is A or S in exploration and D in everything else. Sad times. Cute little waifu Amber. This in D tier, all by herself.
All right, and then I'm doing the other poll, which is like your normal one. So there's polls for like normal day, like that you can do normally, and then there's event ones. A lot of what you're gonna get is like weapons, and a lot of them are gonna be 3-star. You're gonna get maybe like 1 4-star. And in this poll, I got a 5-star. Kui.
Is that a character?
Yes, QIQI. I'm probably butchering that.
That is an ice healer that is apparently S tier. She's got S and everything, but only an A tier rating for bosses, apparently.
Oh, that's okay. Cool. That's what I pulled.
That's very exciting. Did you max out the fucking pity system in the game before the podcast?
No, I did not.
Because most gacha games have a pity system where once you've opened a certain number of things, it's more likely to give you something not crap.
Well, actually, that's probably a good point. I haven't been doing the pulls for a really long time, so that's probably why.
Maybe.
And that might explain why I got like that good pull with the first time, because I completed the whole campaign and I was like level 20 before I was like, you know what, for the podcast I should probably do this, but on general principle I don't like gacha games, mostly because
One of these characters is named Venti,
yes,
and she's green
no,
like Starbucks.
it's a he.
Oh, it's a he?
Mm-hmm.
I can't
No,
tell based on the
I was
picture. They all
confused.
look like these actually all kind of look like girls.
It's true. I thought it was a girl too for the longest time.
Except for eye patch Keanu Reeves guy. He's not. He's the only one who strikes me as being like definitely he's a guy character.
There's that, and then the Diluc character, Diluc. He's the other guy, fire guy, who's like level 5.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's S tier. He's at the top of the tier list, even though they've got the tier list backwards because
they start with the worst.
listed as they start with the worst and they go to the best instead of starting with the best and going to the worst.
That's a weird tier list.
Yeah, well, normally it's like left to right, but in this one it's right to left. So because Venti's the top because they have an S and everything.
So yeah, as you were saying, it's kind of like an MMO, except you can just explore the world kind of single player, and then if you're gonna go for the multiplayer, it's usually for like doing dungeons cooperatively, because usually these dungeons are like kind of challenges where, oh, defeat this number of enemies and like this set amount of time, or defeat these enemies with only like 20-second gaps between the kills and the enemies. So it's a lot easier when you do it with a team.
Okay.
My initial thoughts were, oh, this is a great game. Like I was hook, line, and sinker for a really long time, and then kind of within the last little bit, it's kind of slowed down a bit because there's a bit more of a grind. You're not getting those main quests nearly as quickly. You only get to do 4 daily quests, which gets you about 60 of the currency, which can be used in order to buy the wishes. Now, if you're doing only those, it's going to take you 27 days of just doing daily quests. So you log in, play for about 10 to 15 minutes. Then you'll get your 10 wishes, which is going to be the thing that guarantees you at least 1 4-star, either weapon or character.
I have comments, but I'll wait until we get into the more broad free-to-play discussion instead of just Genshin.
Yeah, no, and I was just bringing that up because like that's how much you're gonna be doing, or you're gonna have those really expensive microtransactions. They've made their money back, right? They made $100 million.
It cost them about $50 million to make the game, and they made that back within 2 weeks. So yeah, they're in the green on it very, very quickly.
Yep.
And then something like 17 million users, but I forget if that was just on the mobile platforms or if that was in general. Either way, the game's been extremely successful for oh boy, I forget the company's name. I want to say it's like I can't even.
Oh, they got a weird name. Let me pull it up. So I thought it was pretty damn funny.
It's like here we go. It's at the top. It's MiHoYo, MiHoYo, MiHoYo. I don't know if I'm enunciating in the right spots for that though.
No, that sounds about right.
So you've been enjoying Genshin, obviously.
Yeah, no, I've been enjoying it a lot. I would definitely recommend this to anyone who doesn't have like any of those gambling issues, because you can definitely get away with not having to pay a dime for this game, at least for now, is what I can say. Whether a long time down the line they're going to have like so many of these new characters that in order to get them, you're going to have to put in like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, like a lot of YouTubers have done the annoying, crazy stuff like, oh, I bought 100 loot boxes from Overwatch. Let me do this. So it's the same thing for this game. Like, let me see if I can get the waifu. And it's like, oh, I got it after doing 100 rolls, which cost me like $200. But because I'm doing YouTube, I can do this.
Yeah, because I'm going to put this out on YouTube. The video is going to make like $2,000 back in the first 5 minutes it's out.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Like,
if they're like a prolific YouTuber anyway, it'll make the money back within like an hour or less.
Yeah, but you can totally get away with at least doing the prologue and I think the first chapter with no money and just doing the free wishes.
I mean, you said they give you 4 characters to start out with, so like they at least give you enough characters to like, play the game in the way it's intended to be played, and then everything else is just gravy, right?
Yeah, because
Even if Amber is like, Amber is like underpowered or whatever, it's like you still have a character that can do fire, so it's like you're not at a complete disadvantage.
yes and no. They give you there's 7 elements in the game, so they only really give you 4. If you finish the story of like the prologue before I think the first big update, which is like 1.1 comes out, you'll get another character, Barbara. Now she's water.
Oh, she's adorable.
She's very adorable. What she does is she's like an idol. So her special, you should look up her specials. It's really, really cute. She's in my main party. And then I have
You said she's water. She's
water healer.
abilities?
Water healer,
Okay.
and she's got like really good water healing abilities. And then my last one is in my main party is the I'm probably gonna butcher this. Fitchel. She's lightning, if that helps.
Okay, I could see that.
Yeah.
She's got kind of like a thief, like a rogue kind of
Yeah.
attitude going on. Except her top part of her like outfit is kind of like magey looking, but like there's a lot of so I could see lightning being the case there. So it sounds like everybody has elements, right? So
Yeah, everyone's got a different element. So she's got a lightning bird that'll come out. Her and Barbara have the best synergy together. The bird will be out there spawned, and it'll be lightning someone, and I'll just be like
and then you
watering
can
them.
use I was gonna say so there's like fully functioning. That's the whole part where everyone's comparing it to Breath of the Wild is because it has like fully functioning physics in it, right? Where you can light shit on fire, like wood on fire, and you could like make like water electrocuted.
Mm-hmm.
Or electrified, I guess would be the correct word. Electrocuted is what happens when someone dies from electricity.
Yeah, and so yeah, the synergy between like those different things, they'll damage the opponent really quicker. So yeah,
Okay.
if you light like character on like a fire and then they spread that fire to the ground and then they die, let's say the ground's still on fire, and I can use the wind character, like your main character, and I can just use their special and then just power up the wind move with just fire, and it'll just decimate the other enemies. Like it's a lot of what the synergy between the elements is really, really good.
I'm guessing there's like ice people as well who can freeze the water.
Mm-hmm. Funny you'd say that. So your character has a stamina meter, which is another comparison of Breath of the Wild. Now, I have a lot of criticisms about this because what you start off with is garbage. It's used for running and it's also used for swimming. Now, when you run out of it from swimming, you just drown. You die. So if you wanted to go to a different island, like you can't just be like, I'm gonna go swimming fast and then like take breaks.
You can't tread water.
You can't tread water.
That's not a thing in this world.
No, and I've died where they've been swimming and then they could definitely have stood up.
All right.
Like that is one of my biggest criticisms. Like I hate that. Because you're gonna see an island in the far ground and you're not gonna know how to get there. You can use the ice character and you can just freeze your way across the entire ocean to get to that island. There's a cooldown of like 4 or 5 seconds for the ice move. You're gonna be able to use the ice move and then just move forward and then just you keep going all the way to the island. And that's how most players, a lot of players got to that in the first place because they had no idea. Because the portal is like it's on this mountaintop, but when you're playing the game, you're just like, oh, that's a cool island. I should go to that based on
Fuck
the
it, man.
map.
If a game's about exploration and they give you the tools to get there, then like I appreciate and applaud that player ingenuity. Just be like, no, I'm gonna just fucking make a boat at ice and just get there that way.
No, and I did that too. That's how I thought you had to get across. I thought it was that convoluted, especially since they gave you a free Frost character. I was just like, okay, well, it's not like it's a barrier for anyone else. I guess this is how you do it.
Huh.
There's a lot of like silly things, but this stamina bar, it's not enough, and you can get your stamina bar up a little bit more by getting there's like these fragments of the gods in each region. You can give them to these statues, and then they're going to give you like once you hit each like it's another level cap. I forgot about this level too. There's a lot of levels in this.
So many levels.
There's so many levels. You're gonna give them like the stuff, and then that'll give you like a little few extra bonuses, whether they'll be like money, some resources. But the crucial thing is it's gonna increase your damn stamina bar. So I have one that's now doubled, but I've had to probably put in about 20 hours, and it's still not enough. I'm still running, and then for maybe like let's say 20 seconds, and then I have to wait for it to come back down, come back up. Like it's just so brutal.
I'm never gonna play this game, and that's the reason why.
No, that's okay.
Is that kind of it for Genshin then?
Yeah, that's about it for Genshin. I can't really think of anything else other than yeah, there's been a lot. There's a lot of the artwork.
I am looking through the characters right now. Amber is my favorite character, design-wise. I don't care if she's D tier, she's my favorite character. She's adorable. She's goggles and headband and everything. Her outfits, she's S tier in my books. I don't give a fuck how shitty she is to use. She's S tier. Everyone else here is F tier. Fuck them.
No, that's fair. Yeah, no, she's definitely a good poster character for the game because the main three that you get are kind of the poster characters that are
So
on
like Amber, Jean, and Lisa.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, the female version of Jean is the one they have on the website.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I guess she's the canon one. She's got a pretty cool design too. Lisa's got huge boobs. That is all I see in her design. She's got a mage hat and boobs.
Yeah, and there's a video of when she likes to climb the wall, she likes to moan. There's videos of like 1 hour long of Lisa moaning and 10-hour long videos of Lisa moaning. Like,
Would that be called a Mona Lisa?
hey, anyway.
Oh fuck!
Good,
I deserve to go to hell for that one.
No, that's good. I like that. Yeah. So now that you know what, that's it. My thoughts. Like overall, really good game. I'm really glad it came out. I give it a solid 8 out of 10 in its current state. I think it can only go up from here because they're gonna probably release a couple new regions slowly because they've only done the two main elements. So I think in a year's time, this will be one of the better games.
You've listed off what, like six different elements? I think you've listed off. So there's probably at least 4 more stories coming. You figure?
Well, there's two main regions. One's wind-based and one's earth-based. So I think there's like 4 or 5 new stories left.
Like water, ice, electricity, and fire would be the other 4.
The only reason it's down to an 8 is because you can't pet the damn dog.
Okay, then.
You can attack the dog by mistake because I thought I was trying to press the buttons. Like, oh, that'd be. Can I interact with it? And I hit the attack button. I'm like an idiot, and it ran away. So it can run away from you if you attack it, but it will not let you pet it.
Alrighty then. That's unfortunate. That's like a 0 of 10 on the Doge meter.
Yes, I know. All right, that's officially it on the game.
All right. So cycling back to the one comment you made about playing for 10 to 15 minutes. So I guess now we're going to cycle more into generic free to play, specifically focusing on kind of like what aspects of free to play games we think are dog shit, which ones we think are good. I know I have a little bit more experience with that than you do, but you've been playing Genshin Impact, which is part of why we came up with this as a topic. But yeah, cycling back to that comment you made, most free-to-play games are very intentionally designed to get you to play every day. So it makes sense that you have like kind of daily quest that is used to inform like what they want you to do for the day, and then they reward you with opening packs. That's a very, very common model for getting people to come back every single day. So like one of the games I used to play, it's not online anymore because they kind of ran out of money and went out of business. Well, I guess they didn't go out of business. They're releasing a game on the PS5. It was called Duelist, and it was a card game. Every day you would log in and there'd be daily quests, and it would reward you with gold. Typically, you got enough gold or just enough gold between doing all of your daily quests and the amount of gold you would get from winning matches to buy a card pack. So like that entire game's like core gameplay loop was to get you to like come in every day, play for an hour, do your daily quests, win a couple matches, and then buy a new card pack and be like, ooh, exciting new cards. And then you'd fuck off for the day. Because I guess what a lot of free to play games are designed to do. They're not designed to make you like to be a game that you just play for like fucking ever. They're designed mostly for you to like check in every single day with them instead. Because if you check in every single day, that's more valuable to them than you playing like if you play 10 hours straight versus like playing 10 days in a row. The 10 days in a row is way more valuable to them than 10 hours in a row on one day.
Yeah, which is weird about like the Genshin because I was playing like nonstop for that beginning portion. So
Yeah, but you said you slowed down now,
I
right?
have slowed down, so you are correct on that regard.
Like you had the initial excitement, and now you're at the point where they want you to be, where you're going in, you play for a little bit every single day, and you work through the content that way. And part of the reason for that, at least with like multiplayer games, is that it keeps people coming back regularly. So it keeps your player numbers high. And if people are regularly playing your game, they're also more likely to spend money instead of if they just play your game like once and then they put it down forever. But yeah, so I've played in my time a number of free to play games. Obviously, I just mentioned Duelist. I mentioned some games that didn't start free to play, but then they became free to play. Played some games that were just free to play from the get go. I've interacted with in some serious capacity every single free to play business model except for battle passes. That's the only one I haven't dabbled in at all because that's a more recent one that's taken off, and I haven't played any of the games that fall into that. So I haven't played like Rocket League. I know they have battle passes. I guess like Fall Guys had a battle or kind of like a season battle pass thing, but that game's a piece of shit and it's also not free to play. So I didn't play it for any amount of time. And like Fortnite is another big one that has like battle passes, but I've never played Fortnite either because I had no interest in it. For you, what business model do you find like what business model do you like the most with free to play stuff?
I prefer the model where you've got the core gameplay and then you'll get the skins.
It's like
So
cosmetics then.
mostly cosmetic. I prefer that as the business model, but I understand that that's not usually the one that's highly profitable.
Yeah. For me, I like ones where you can buy like a founder's pack or like a collector's edition or something, and then cosmetics. So my reason for that, I really, really, really hate having to grind out anything in games. It's a huge waste of time. And free to play games to try and get you to play more often will intentionally waste the player's time. So there's like a lot of games that will have some kind of grinding mechanic to keep you coming back day after day, which I don't like. And in a lot of games, it's used specifically for unlocking characters. I think that's complete horseshit because it can make it really hard for you to get to a point where you can actually play the game properly if you spend all your time grinding out characters just so you can play the game, right? Because like if you play like League of Legends, they have free characters on rotation all the time, but you only have access to whatever characters are free until you start buying champions. So you're at like an inherent disadvantage versus somebody who's been playing the game for several years and has several like a wide roster of champions available to use in any given match. Instead, you're just pigeonholed into like whatever characters are free that week. Like first of all, if you have a competitive free to play game, that should just be a model that you just do not use. It's used by like the overwhelming majority of a lot of like free to play games that have characters and are competitive. I don't agree with it at all because it makes it so that new players can't compete.
Well, and that's probably why you like your favorite game, Fantasy Strike.
Yeah, so in Fantasy Strike, that uses a like a founders pack edition. For free, you get access to every single character in that game and the online ranked and casual matchmaking. So you can just pick up all of the characters and try them out and figure out which ones you like immediately. You don't have to grind anything out, you don't have to pay any money. And then if you like the game enough to where you're like, oh yeah, this is a really fun game, you can spend $20 and get the arcade mode and like the daily challenge mode and the survival mode and also friend matches. I know the friend matches in particular is contentious because a lot of games that are free to play, especially fighting games, just they go with the model where you have to unlock characters or buy characters. So you have like ranked and friend matches and all this other shit, but you have to buy all the characters. I would honestly rather have all of the characters unlocked. So you can try out all of the characters and figure out which ones you like playing the most and then like pay for like extra features instead of having to pay for all like to try out the characters and then find out, oh, like I paid like $5 for this character and I don't actually like them because you have no other way to kind of try them. I do know that like most MOBAs will have characters rotating for free before you buy them. So you can at least try them that way. But it's like you could spend like when I first started playing Heroes of the Storm, for example, there was I think around 40 to 45 characters in the game, and they had 5 characters for free that you could play every week. So at a minimum, you were looking at 8 to 9 weeks before you could play like try every single character. That's not how it actually manifested because of how they did the rotations. They kept characters that were easy to play constantly in the rotation. And then like more complex characters, they didn't appear like at all. So in actuality, I think I want to say about 70 or 80% of the characters by about the 12-week mark, and I hadn't played all of the characters for like I want to say 5 or 6 months,
Damn.
which is a really long time to wait to just try something. By that point, I'd had enough in-game gold from playing the game so much to where I could just buy them outright and just be like, if I tried them and I didn't like them, I'd just be like, ah, fuck it, it doesn't matter. But yeah, that's how long. But in League of Legends, there's almost 200 characters.
Sweet
Like,
Jesus.
how do you? Yeah, it's like, how do you fucking wait like that? Like, if there's like 10, 15 characters for free every week, it's still like, that's still a long time to wait. You know, like a game of League is like an hour. So it's how many hours do you have to spend every week just to like try out all of the different characters and figure out, okay, I like this character, and the rest of these characters I'm not too big on. It's like, that's like, it's not just, I don't think it's sustainable or reasonable from a time perspective. So that's kind of where I'm at, where I prefer, you know, having the ability to either just like buy all the characters outright or just have them available for free from the start, either or.
Well, it's a good thing you can just play it on your new iPhone 12 now. That was one of the highlights of that conference. I couldn't believe that. I was like, "Great, I can play League of Legends on my phone," which I do not want to do.
Yeah, I don't know why anyone would do that. But yeah, so like other games I've played that had like a kind of not exactly the same as Fantasy Strike, but a similar kind of model where you either could pay for everything or they just gave you everything. I don't think anyone just gave you everything. I think Dota does that, but I've never played Dota.
No, I've not played Dota either.
Duelist, you could buy the expansions. So like when they came out with new expansions, you could just buy the expansions outright. The main advantage with that is that instead of getting a new card pack every single day, you know, slowly building up your collection, you get access to everything right away. So with expansions, they usually change some of the core mechanics and they introduce new ones. And typically, if they're different enough, you'll need a complete set of new cards in order to actually utilize them to their fullest potential. So if you didn't have the ability to just buy the expansion outright, if you just wanted to do that, so you could actually experiment with the new mechanics, you could potentially spend like half the expansion grinding out all of the cards before you could even kind of like actually get your head around and play with these new mechanics, which like I'm, you know, fundamentally opposed to. I think that would make that makes the game a lot less exciting. When new content comes out, you want to play it right away, right?
I want to play the next chapter when it comes out for the Genshin
Yeah,
Impact game.
exactly.
Like, and hopefully I'm not 200 levels at that point. But
Yeah, exactly. And then Battle Royale was another one that didn't start free to play. It was paid originally, but the paid version, or like the founders pack, got you access to all the champions. So you didn't have to grind them out and rely on the free rotation. Try out the characters and then purchase the ones you actually wanted using either real money or in-game currency. Instead, you could just go, all right, fuck it, I'm just going to pay like $25, $30 and get everyone unlocked, so I don't have to worry about it. So that's kind of my big thing is like I'm more focused on like competitive style stuff. I don't want to grind. I don't find it fun. I just want to play the game the way it's meant to be played. And it's like I want to be able to use all the mechanics. I want to be able to use all of the options that are available. And by putting options behind a massive grind wall, I don't like you kind of cut your players off from being able to just access that content readily.
I like that term, grind wall.
Yeah, or like you're just like it's just like a huge. Oh, it's like a paywall, but it's a grind. When games have cosmetic items you can buy, I usually buy them. I the only free to play game I haven't spent money on that I played for any serious amount of time was Heroes of the Storm, and that's just because Blizzard's cosmetics are fucking ugly looking. Everyone in their art department is blind. I'm sure that will go over extremely well.
Blind or colorblind?
Both.
Okay.
Okay, so I was like, how much? I played Heroes of the Storm for about 400 or 500 hours, which is a lot of time.
Excuse me, what?
And yeah, over the course of like
Oh,
3-ish years.
okay.
Oh, dear.
I thought I was thinking back to like the 6 months and you retired after that.
No, I started playing Heroes of the Storm in 2015 or 2014, maybe 2014. I think it was 2014. Then played it throughout 2015 on and off, and then I played it some more in 2016. So like 500 hours accumulated across was probably around 2 years worth of playtime. Is not like for a free to play game. I wouldn't say that's a lot of time. I mean, it is a lot of time, but it's like, you know, if you're playing this game actively for any amount of time, it makes sense that you'd accumulate time over, or like play time over the course of whatever.
Yeah, no, I tricked myself because I thought you kind of dropped it after the 6 months once you got to play all the characters.
Oh, no, 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 no. I figured out which characters I actually like playing and then played the game properly. But like that first 6 months kind of wasn't super fun, and it was a lot more fun once I actually had access to characters. No, I stopped playing it when they launched Heroes 2.0 because that was the proof that Blizzard had no idea what they were doing with the game, and it was eventually just gonna die a really slow and painful death. All they did was add loot boxes to it, and they acted like the game was totally different.
God damn it. Goddamn loot
Yeah.
boxes.
And they when they did that, they released a bunch of skins, and I'm like, finally, there's skins in this game that are not crap, but I couldn't buy them because there was loot boxes. So the only thing you could buy was loot boxes. You couldn't buy the cosmetics anymore. You had to buy loot boxes instead. It's a whole thing.
That makes me think they weren't colorblind. I think they realized they hired the right guys, and then they said, "Hey, loot boxes. You know that Overwatch we got?"
Yeah, exactly. They just copied the Overwatch model because, and to a lesser extent, the Hearthstone model, because card packs are kind of like loot boxes.
Mm,
Just in their implementation, it's like you open a random thing and get some random stuff, and sometimes you get crap and sometimes you get good stuff.
it's not gambling.
With the regard to their cosmetics, when you could buy them outright, they were charging like $20 for a skin.
Whew.
Yeah, right. And I didn't think any of the skins looked that good. The color variant ones, like where it's just like a different version of, like a slightly altered version of what the character looked like, and then it was like 3 skin tints, was like $15, and I was like, this is unreasonable. And then like the more involved ones were like $20. And yeah, I didn't think any of them looked really good. I'm not like a huge fan of Blizzard's art direction in general, especially because Heroes of the Storm kind of used like the World of Warcraft looking. I think it's mostly the World of Warcraft style I'm not really big on. So like most of the characters had like this really, like they just had really like awkwardly big proportions. So their hands were huge, their ears were big, their fucking the shoulder pads. Oh my god, the WoW characters had the biggest fucking shoulders. Jesus Christ. But yeah, so I don't know. I just wasn't like a huge fan of a lot of the different ideas they had for skins. And yeah, and then when they dropped Heroes 2.0, it's just like loot boxes, and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna pay for loot boxes. That's just a fucking waste of money. Because like I can at least kind of like get around buying like expansions or card packs in a card game, but like loot boxes are so full of like.
Well, they're very predatory.
Well, it's not even that. It's just like when you open a card pack, you always get like cards, and cards are always useful for the game. So it's like you're always getting something that you can play the game with. Where with like loot boxes, the overwhelming majority of stuff that gets put into loot boxes is just like garbage that no one wants. Like no one wants a fucking spray in Overwatch, right? Like no one is happy to get a spray in Overwatch. No one's happy to get a new voice line in Overwatch. Those items are just added in to pad out the available content. People really want like the skins and the victory poses and the victory animations, right? Like that's what people actually care about. They don't care about all like the bullshit, and the bullshit makes up more than half of the item pool. Where at least in a card game, like the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to get a card that you like already have, which is like, okay, that's like not that terrible. At least all the cards generally have like a purpose where you can be like, all right, this card it can be used in this situation. So like I maybe want to use it in this kind of a strategy. Where yeah, with like fucking loot boxes, it's like the overwhelming majority of stuff's just fucking trash.
Yeah, and a lot of that just turns into like, oh, you already have this. Here's some extra currency for the next loot box. It's like, come on.
Yeah, card games kind of do the same thing, except I've had far less problem with like duplicates, especially because in card games duplicates are not actually a bad thing, because that means you have more copies of the card up to a max, obviously. But yeah, I still just prefer buying expansions.
I guess there's one thing I forgot about the Genshin game. So if you do get the same character again, you get some sort of potion that unlocks some special ability on their constellation, which is basically just extra special abilities. So you can get
All right.
duplicate characters. Yay.
That's a little bit frustrating.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of where I stand. I like just being able to like buy expansions or collector's editions to get, because I'm more competitively minded for stuff like that, right? So I don't want to be at a competitive disadvantage by not having access to any of the available options, right, or any of the mechanics because of some like stupid bullshit grind. And then yeah, loot boxes can go to hell. I'm not big on those. Gacha mechanics are basically the same thing, so I'm not huge on those either. I also really don't like, this is like a kind of an aside. So like I play Plants vs Zombies too. That game's a piece of shit. The
Yeah.
big problem with that game is that EA doesn't want it to be free to play, but they made it free to play. Like all of the basic plants from the previous game, so like your basic pea shooter and like just like all the stuff you're kind of used to from the first game. Almost all of them are locked behind like a $2 or $3 paywall per like unit, which is fine. It's just that it's like, okay, well, I can't even access like the basic options in this game without paying money. Why didn't you just charge me like $20 in the first place to even play the, like I just had that installed on my tablet when I moved out. I didn't have internet for the first little bit. So I played it for like a week, and then after that week I uninstalled it, never played it again. But it's like extremely frustrating because it's just like it's full of timers. They very clearly just wanted you to spend money on like the basic units. But it's like, oh man, why didn't you just make it like a $20 purchase? And then I would have just bought it instead of it being like I think a la carte, the fucking I guess that's why if you had to buy them a la carte, they cost way more money.
Yeah, that's exactly why.
So it's just like, I don't know, the game just sucked donkey ass. I guess that's the other reason why I like collector's editions is that you like it's like a one-time purchase for all. It's like simplified. It's just like a one-time purchase for everything. So you just have it and you don't have to think about it. You don't have to fuck around with buying everything individually or what have you. So yeah, and then like a big problem with gacha and loot boxes is that they're just like random things when you're trying to get something that's like when you're trying to get something specific is really frustrating and you can't just buy it, which I would do. It's like, oh, does this thing cost like $5, $10? Like, okay, I'll just buy it. Instead it's like, oh, you gotta buy like fucking loot boxes and hope to pray to God you get it. Thanks, game.
Yeah, the gotcha and the loot boxes, they're just cousins.
Yeah. And they're all based on like loosely like card packs, which are a fit like were invented and conceived in like a physical form before they were converted to digital.
Yeah, do you think we were like pre-programmed with that when we were buying Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon cards?
Maybe I was poor as shit growing up, so I basically never got any. I think that's probably part of the reason why I'm so opposed to having to like grind out things through random nature of stuff. Because like growing up, I could never ever make a good Yu-Gi-Oh deck because I didn't have money to buy booster packs, right? So all I had was like the starter deck, which is a good place to start. It's in the name, but it doesn't have enough diversity or like interesting mechanics for you to really make your own strategy or win. So you just like you can't do and like you just can't play the game the way it's meant to be played. Plus, I just don't have time to like grind out stuff as an adult. So yeah, like I think that might be why I hate like the grinding or having a competitive disadvantage because of not having access to all of the options that are available. Because I just like got so sick of just getting my ass beat in like these games when I was growing up, because I couldn't afford buying all of the cards, so I could actually come up with a strategy that was unique and interesting and fun to play and could maybe be surprising and unique and actually win. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's why. In general, I think that I don't. To your question about our generation in particular, I don't think that that has anything to do with it. So these mechanisms work really well on people in general because of loss aversion. The grinding in most free-to-play games works because of the sunk cost fallacy, and both of those fucking diseases keep people playing games far longer than they should. If they just thought about it for like just had like a good long think, they would realize, oh, I'm not having fun, and the more I play, the less fun I have. So I should just stop playing and not look back, which is what I ended up doing eventually with MapleStory. Hashtag fuck that game.
Oh.
MapleStory is a dog shit game, and the developers should be ashamed of themselves. I hope they eventually find themselves in the deepest pits of hell with Satan shoving pineapples up their assholes. That game is abusive to its players.
How's that?
It features gacha mechanics for power, which I guess is kind of like what you have, but there is no way to obtain them for free. So it's an MMO, free to play MMO, or it was. I don't know if it's still online. Probably is. MapleStory 2 got taken offline. MapleStory, the original, probably still online.
What happened to MapleStory too? I remember that coming out, but I didn't bother.
It made no fucking money.
They didn't have the player base just shift over.
Yeah, no, like people just stayed with one because of loss aversion and the sunk cost fallacy. I don't want to start over from square one. I have like 3,000 hours and 5 years in my MapleStory account. I'm not going over to MapleStory 2 and starting over again. Fuck that noise.
Mm.
That's what the general consensus from players were. And then like the people who were like, oh, I like this game, they weren't spending any money on it, so it didn't make any money. It fucking went broke. I know it's shut down in like every region besides like, the Korean, Japanese, Chinese area, but I don't know if it's still up and running in the Asian market still. In MapleStory, so it's an MMO. First of all, they start you off with less storage than like an inventory space than what you would find in other games, and what would be considered an acceptable amount for the amount of stuff you need to do in this game. And they sell inventory slots that cost like $5 a piece for 4 more slots. They sell cosmetic items that shift throughout the store. The most notorious of those are premium hairstyle coupons, which have a rotating selection of hairstyles you can choose from for your character that come in bundles instead of sold individually, because you don't get to choose your hairstyle when you use them. It's random for some fucking reason.
What? Oh dear.
And then on top of those two things, they also have a system for making your gear better called potential. So you put potential on a gear, and then it has a mysterious extra unlockable set of stats. The only way to reroll the potential on a piece of gear is to pay $2 pop for an item called a cube that will re-roll the potential on a gear. So if you have a piece of gear you've upgraded really like heavily and you put potential on it and you get dog shit potential, you have to cube it repeatedly to get the like the potential stats. And the potential stats make a world of difference. Like that, you cannot play the game properly without learning how this system works. Typically, people go look for a piece of gear that has all right potential, and then they'll upgrade it from there, so they don't have to cube it. But like all the top tier gear is made by like literally hundreds of dollars of cubes until you get the exact perfect stats for potential. You can also lock certain lines, like so the gear would have like 1 line, 2 lines, 3 lines, depending on how powerful it was of different stats. So you could lock certain stats in place with another item that also costs money. And also, the upgrading scrolls had a 70% chance of passing, a 30% chance of failure, and 50% of the time on that 30%, it would just blow the item up. So they sold items that were insurance policies that removed the blowing up thing.
Oh, that
And
reminds
those cost money too.
that reminds me of like Metal Gear Solid 5's online component having a
Oh
when
yeah,
the
where you can buy
insurance.
insurance.
Yeah. Like, oh, people are gonna steal from you while you're at work. Okay, have an insurance policy that will
Yeah.
just replace all those items for free.
Yeah, so you
Oh
had
my
to.
god.
So every time you ran one of these things, and like a full piece of gear could be upgraded 12 times, so it had like 12 successes. So that didn't account for how many failures you would have to get there on a 70% chance. 70% chance time it would pass. 15% of the time it would fail and nothing would happen. 15% of the time it would fail and blow the item up. So you could get rid of that 15% blowing up and change it to be 30%. It will do nothing. 70% it will upgrade by having a cash shop item that also cost money that you had to use per upgrade scroll you were using. So like every time you would, like if you were going to apply a scroll, you had to like apply an insurance scroll first. Otherwise, might blow up this item you had a ton of fucking like that you'd spent like however much time upgrading. And that's also accounting for like, oh, if you spent like money making it have like a really good potential already as well. The game was super fucking, it was real shitty. There's like an extra credits video about the free to play model. It's like you don't sell power. And this game quite literally, it was power, and it was like loot box style and like gacha style gambling, like well before either of those models manifested. So like the fact when I see people like complaining about loot boxes now and stuff, I'm like, man, you guys don't even know like how I have been to the other side, man. I've looked inside of Pandora's box. It's shit. It could be like much worse. I don't like loot boxes, but it's like at least it's not as bad as some of the shit I've seen in like Asian games. They're like just fucking terrible.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm just staring down at death,
You
just
have
going, Jesus. Like, my god, that's all. I'm in
just like
shock.
can't
I'm in
even
shock.
believe this is real, right? Because it's like from like a Western audience, right? If you've never played games from out that were like made, if you've never played a free to play game from the Asian market, you've never been exposed to any of this fucking garbage, and it's actually terrible, and that is the norm. Like that kind of abuse is the norm in a lot of games from that region. That's why like the gacha system became a thing. It's based on like the little capsule machines that they have over there. I guess specifically in Japan. I don't know if it's in any other country. But yeah, and there's like a ton of mobile games from Japan that really popularized this, and they were making money hand over fist by having abusive, really predatory gacha systems where you had to buy several gacha packs to get your characters to even become a little bit stronger. It doesn't sound like Genshin's that bad.
Not yet, at least. Not yet. That's what I'm worried
Yeah.
it's gonna do, but for now, I can say it's solid. As soon as they start pulling that shit, I'm gonna kind of drop it.
So yeah, there's like a ton of people who if they have never played like a mobile game, they've never even been exposed to how bad some like it actually can be. Like again, it's not to say that I condone the way things are. It's just that like there's worse.
Yeah, I've had a very brief experience with MapleStory. I probably played like 15 hours, so I only really got to like let's say level 20 or level 30 or something like that.
Yeah, I played that game for like 3 years. 3 years, and it's the only game I played.
Yeah, you're entitled to your opinion on how bad it is. Yeah.
I should hope so. I put in more than my due time. So yeah, I have spent money on that. I did spend money on MapleStory.
I was gonna ask you.
Not as much Like relative to the amount of time I spent playing it, it wasn't that much. I think it was around $300. But it's like if you play a game for 3 years and you play it for like 1,000 to 2,000 hours a year, $300 is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Spend more money on video games. Like $300 is what, like 3 AAA games, 4 AAA games.
With the prices that have gone up now, let's see, they'll be $90 Canadian, 100 with tax, 3.
Yeah, so it's like, and three. That's so it'd be like 1 game a year over a 3-year period. Relatively speaking, it's not that much, but it's like the way they get the money out of you. It's like, it doesn't feel good. It feels like you're being kind of cheated out of your money because like, the only way I can like be able to do this like new dungeon is if I upgrade my gear, and to do that I need to buy some like insurance fucking things. So
That
um,
that's blowing my mind on the insurance thing.
meanwhile, like in Duelist, I bought one of the expansions. In Fantasy Strike, I just own the collector's edition already or I guess they call it a founder's pack. Because I bought it when it was not free to play, but I would have bought it anyway, and I bought some cosmetics in that game because it's a fucking great game and I enjoy it. Heroes of the Storm, I would have bought cosmetics in if they weren't fucking butt ugly. Battle Right was a game that I just bought like the founders or collector's edition or whatever the hell it's called for that, just so I had like access to all the characters. And yeah, if Plants vs Zombies had like a fucking $20 starter pack, I would have bought that. Or sorry, Plants vs Zombies 2. Plants vs Zombies proper, the original is like $10 on Steam, and it's still just as good as it always was. It's a good little mindless tower defense game. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, you've had way more experience with this than I have. This is really my first kind of time sink into a free to play game that's got the gacha mechanics.
Just as an aside, I find that once you get kind of burned by one game, typically most people don't go back to them, or if they do, they go back to ones that don't have the same pricing model, which may be why I have dinked around with just about every pricing model on the planet. Obviously, there's ones that I do like. There are some games that have had those. They haven't necessarily been the most successful games, but I do appreciate when they, like I said, you have the ability to not be at a competitive disadvantage right at the gate. Sorry, continue your.
I was just gonna say the other game I played is Warframe, but I can't really speak too much on that because I only really played 10 hours and kind of went to a couple planets. So
Yeah, that's not a thing that I've spent time with. I think Will has, and he liked it a lot. I think the free to play model in that game is generally people think it's pretty all right.
yeah, people have been liking that model a lot more, and it's had a lot of success. So I'm happy for it.
Yeah. Well, those guys are actually from like Digital Extremes. I know where their office is, so I've seen it. I've walked by it. They always have the lights on at like fucking like 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, I guess they did before COVID happened. I only know because of drunken shenanigans. But you'd like from my one buddy's balcony, we'd kind of look over and we could see in the Digital Extreme office, and you'd see people fucking like having meetings and shit and talking about like game design stuff at 2, 3 in the morning.
It sounds like gamers.
Well, it's like a game company, right? So
I
the
know.
things that people say about crunch are absolutely true, where certain developers will be working constantly and not getting enough rest.
Hmm.
Anyway, that's like free to play in a nutshell. So that's just kind of where I stand on it. So you're kind of like more with you don't mind as long as like it's just cosmetic stuff.
Yeah, cosmetic stuff.
I find cosmetic stuff inoffensive enough to where it doesn't really offend me unless it's attached to a loot box, in which case I can't purchase it outright.
Mm.
So like Dead or Alive, that game had like $600 worth of cosmetic DLC, and I was totally fine with it because you can just buy whatever the fuck you want instead of having to buy loot boxes to get the stuff you want.
I'll update that in my opinion. It's cosmetics that you can buy. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I assume that was what you meant instead of
Mhm.
like loot boxes, which are their own fucking thing. It's a distraction, a way to get people to grind.
Well, I mean, I almost forgot about loot boxes because it's been a term that not too many of the developers like using anymore since Battlefront 2.
Battlefront 2, holy shit, that was a fucking game. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, what a
EA
game.
fucked up so bad that people who don't even know what video games are were like, we need to fucking like legislate, like putting government laws and shit to deal with this. Like, how do you fuck up that bad? And you know what the stupid thing is? Battlefront's not even the worst EA game for that. All of their sports games have the exact
I
same
know, I
systems in
know.
them, and no one Because people who play sports games do not complain about it. They don't give a fuck. They're just like a giant gaping asshole that just, and I know my buddy Mass is listening to this and he's a big FIFA player, but like they just take all of the like just fucking the worst shit and just deal with it because they don't give a fuck. They just want to play their goddamn sports games. But it's like, oh my God.
Both Madden and I think the new FIFA game are both sitting
It's
at
not
like
even it's not even new FIFA. FIFA's been doing this for
no.
years.
I meant on Metacritic. Oh, I think they're both sitting at like a 0.3 or something like that.
Yeah, but they're like the best-selling games in the franchise.
I know.
So what does that fucking 3 even mean? It means that people are still buying these fucking games. It's like the people who bitched about balls. What's the basketball one called?
Like it's an NBA one.
Okay, NBA. That's what I was looking for. Thank you. You can tell neither of us fucking watch sports.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, people were complaining about that. But like the one that came out this year and like the one last year, both of them like got really negative Steam reviews, really negative user reviews on Metacritic. Even the critical reviews were kind of shit. But then it's like the fucking game was like the best selling one. And then this year, the one that came out is the best selling one. And it's like you can't complain about this and say that it sucks and then buy it.
I think that it's the people that are complaining aren't the target audience. It's other people.
No, and that's the other thing. People who bitch about this stuff all the time are people who have no intention. It's like we didn't mention it at all when we brought up Harry Potter in that one episode, right? There's the whole J.K. Rowling debacle because she's kind of a piece of shit, like kind of a huge piece of shit. Some people who had no intention of ever buying that Harry Potter game were like, I'm not going to buy that Harry Potter game. Give me praise. Give me upvotes on social media. Give me all that delicious karma. It's like Lord of the Rings, the second Lord of the Rings game.
Okay.
A ton of people said that they were going to boycott that. Shadow of Mordor?
Oh,
No.
yes. Shadow of Mordor. Yeah.
Shadow of War is something like that.
Or Shadow of War,
the second one of those. That came out and everyone was like, I'm going to boycott this game. And I'm like, the only people who said they were going to boycott the game and did boycott the game are people who were never going to buy the game in the first place. Oh, yeah, I boycotted this game. It's like, well, you didn't really boycott the game if you had no intention of buying it in the first place, right?
Yeah.
It's not like a boycott if you just if you just decided you weren't going to buy the game in the first place and you just continue to not buy it. That's like, fuck you. Do you want to get into the games we've been playing?
Yeah, we should definitely doing the games, and then I guess we'll kind of make that a bit shorter this week because you won't have.
Yeah, well, I mean, you kind of already covered off that you were playing Genshin.
Yeah, I was just kind of part of it.
So,
all right.
What else have you been playing besides Genshin?
All right, so what I've been playing other than Genshin has been I've just continued on with Final Fantasy X. I'm probably at the last fourth of the game. Solid game, good story still. Voice acting is early. Yeah, exactly. Early 2000s. My wife just keeps looking at it and just going, Jesus, this is so awful. And I'm like,
characters keep making anime grunting noises.
Well, certain characters will just have like annoying pauses. They'll be like, oh, that's right. I guess that's going to happen to me.
Oh boy, that's
it's got that. Yeah, it's got that early 2000 voice acting, and this is the first Final Fantasy game that had voice acting. So yeah.
Oh, okay. So it was actually like a landmark title in that regard.
It was definitely a landmark title in that regard, but it was just like you look at it now and it's like, oh, that part didn't age well, not at all. And then the last one I played was Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight.
What the fuck is that?
That's the game I showed you on Twitter as the hint for this week.
Oh, I thought it was a Genshin Impact screenshot because I just saw like weeb stuff and I was like, that's Genshin Impact, I guess.
Nope, that wasn't. So this is a Persona 5 spin-off game. It's got the music from Persona, which I really like the soundtrack from Persona 5, but I don't think it blends very well with the hip-hop style of the dancing. So for anyone who doesn't know, Persona 5 is a lot more. It's a bit of like pop music, but it's also a lot more jazz oriented. You don't typically dance as much to jazz as you do to like hip hop. So having the remixes of like the jazz songs in hip hop style is not something I liked all that much. I finished the entire game. The main problem with it, other than the music selection, was it has a very lackluster story mode because the original spawned this dancing spin-off games. Persona 4 was Dancing All Night or something like that. it had a story mode, which was just really silly, but at least it was like kind of funny. You could get more invested in that, and like, oh, they're basically dancing in order to get away from the defeat the shadows, or I guess calm them down. In that case, it wasn't really defeating them, but anyway, it's an anime game. It's fine.
It's fine. Okay.
That and I thought this was going to be a really good game, but it was just kind of
So
dragged
it's like a
on.
rhythm game.
It's a rhythm based game. The dancing is like okay. Costume selection is just kind of weird. Some of the costumes are creative and funny, like they've got like the Christmas outfits and the Halloween outfits, but then there's some that are just like skimpy for the sake of skimpy, and I'm just like,
I was gonna say, I feel
why?
like that's the kind of game that you only really enjoy if you want to see these characters in like softcore porn dancing, like you're at a strip club or something.
And here's the thing: this is probably this game is only for people who really played Persona 5. It's not a very good game for anyone. Like I can't imagine this encouraged anyone to pick up Persona 5 or Persona 5 Royal. Like it's
Yeah.
just for the fans. So it's already got a small, like, or not really small, I'd say, because Persona 5 sold really well. But it's only got like
It's like
a
only the
certain
most hardcore of the hardcore Persona fans are gonna pick this up.
yeah, which of course that was me, and lo and behold, I found it just okay.
Okay.
And then finally, someone on Kijiji was selling a bunch of Pokemon games, so I'm playing Pokemon Ultra Moon for the first time. But I've only played an hour of that, so I will speak more on that probably next week.
That is the only Pokemon game I have not played, or I guess like Pokemon generation I've not played. I skipped the entirety of the Sun generations. So I was getting kind of burned out on Pokemon.
That's
Because those
fair.
games are kind of terrible, so I really like playing the old ones again because they like I think got like a nostalgia factor where I can play them and actually enjoy them. But then the newer ones, like from the fourth generation on, that's when I started to get more into like the competitive side of Pokemon. And yeah, I don't have like any like even remotely as strong of like a nostalgia factor for any of those. So whenever I go back and play them, I'm like, oh, these are boring. I don't like this. Where like generation 1, 2, and 3, I can replay those or the remakes of those games.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking
Because the
for.
remakes are basically like the giant rose tinted glasses version of the original games, right? So
Hmm.
that's like that's like the perfect way to play those games. You have like all the modern conveniences, but you get to go through like a very familiar setting. So yeah, those are like the remakes they did for Gens 1, 2, and 3 are fantastic. I
Yeah,
love
the
those.
the guy was selling it was like a bundle like for 3 games, so it was like Pokemon Moon, which I'll just resell, Ultra Moon, and then Alpha Sapphire. So I've got Alpha Sapphire on
Oh
my
yeah, Alpha
that's my favorite gen.
yeah,
You know
Alpha
you
Sapphire
know
is
what
good
my
shit.
favorite Pokemon from Gen 3 is?
Mudkip.
It's fucking Mudkip too. I'm not lying here. I really like Mudkip's
I guess Mudkip because of the
evolution.
memes. Mudkip's great.
Yeah, Mudkip's great.
For starters, I like Mudkip's design the best of the 3 starters, but I like Sceptile's like as the final evolutions. I like Sceptile the most. It's like a giant ass like dinosaur thing with a giant pine tree for a tail. It's really cool looking. Swampert's not bad either. I like Mega Swampert better than just regular old Swampert, but Blaziken sucks. It's just terrible. Fire chicken. It's Kung Fu chicken. It looks stupid.
Every fire Pokemon is fighting at this point.
Fucking
But you know what? Let's just talk about
fucking
that.
at me haters. I'll fight you on this. Blaziken is piece of shit Pokemon.
You know what? Let's annoy them next week, because I'm probably gonna have a lot to say on Pokemon, and then my wife's gonna be playing the.
Yeah, she loves your wife loves
My
Pokemon.
my
So
wife loves Pokemon. But she's gonna be playing the new expansion because that's coming out on the 22nd. So
okay,
she's gonna
yeah,
be playing
I'm
that, and I'll probably have a little bit of thoughts on that.
hell will freeze over before I pay for Pokemon DLC. But yeah, it's actually really funny that like one family get together after Pokemon Sword and Shield came out, and it's like usually we talk about games, but I was talking with her about fucking Pokemon.
Yeah, no.
Oh, this is very unusual. It's like, oh, usually I talk to Jason, not his wife.
Well, I had nothing to
Yeah, I
contribute
spent a
in
bunch
that
of
regard
time.
because I didn't play the damn thing.
Yeah, exactly. I spent like a solid, I want to say like 30, 40 minutes talking with Sarah just for Pokemon.
But that's all I've been playing. So, what have you been playing, Frosty?
I finished up Hades, and by finished up, I mean I have done all of the story related stuff. So I finished the story. I finished all of the side stories, like the big side stories where characters have very obviously telegraphed problems that you can solve. And I got all the achievements in the game. which I was not expecting before I started it, but that is what ended up happening. I've seen the epilogue as well, where you resolve the main kind of problem that comes up at there's like a kind of teaser at the end of the story. I still feel like it was a really good game. I kind of still want to play it and unlock, because there's no achievement for getting the final reward when you turn up the heat levels, which are like difficulty modifiers that gradually make the game more difficult. There's one for having 8, 16, and 32, and I don't have the one for 32 yet. I think I've finished up to heat 18 run, but I kind of want to do that so I can get the reward at 32 just to see what it is. I assume it's going to be another goofy statue because that's what the other two were, but yeah, it's a fun game. Comes highly recommended. I'm working on a post for it on my blog, but that will not be up until a week after this goes live, probably. So, and the only other thing is Sega's whatever, I think 60th anniversary is happening right now.
Sounds about right.
All of their games are on sale, so I picked up Puyo Tetris. That game is equal parts frustrating and also fun. It's exactly what the tin says. It's Puyo and it's Tetris. You can play just Tetris, you can play just Puyo, or you can play the blended version of those two games, which is the most complicated shit I have ever played. And it's very fun, but also I hate it. So instead of just playing the games individually, it constantly, you'll play the one board and then it swaps to the other board every like 20 to 30 seconds. So you're constantly having to be like, okay, where the fuck was I on this board and what was I doing? It's like very demanding because you only like I said, you only like 20 or 30 seconds on each board. So you spend you gotta look at the board and then be like, okay, what the fuck am I gonna do? And that's like your first 5 seconds, and then while you're trying to place pieces still, mind you, and then you switch back to the other board and after like another 15, 20 seconds, it's like, holy fuck. It is very challenging, but also very fun. I think it was made for people with 3 heads and 12 brains, and I have 1 head and half of a brain. It's interesting. It's like a good game to kill time with. I don't think it's, like I said, it's exactly what it says on the tin. So it's not like revolutionary. There's nothing about it that I would say, aside from like the fact that they have a blended mode of Tetris and Puyo, which is very interesting and also very chaotic. But yeah, it is what it is. It's kind of, it's fun.
I think I played that in Yakuza before because it's one of the arcade mini games.
Puyo or
yeah, that one.
Yeah, I've played it before by way of Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, by way of Sonic Mega Collection. So I was playing a game within a game. The Mean Bean Machine was great because it's Puyo, but then they had like each enemy in it had like their own unique strategy. And yeah, when I was a kid, I didn't really understand how. Like I understood just like you match 4, and then when you match 4, you put it puts like rocks on your opponent's side of the field, and they have to like match around those rocks to get them removed. But I understand it was like a game where you're supposed to make it so that you line up like a really long combo, and then you set off like one, and then it sets off another, and that sets off another, and that sets off another. And because that multiplies your score by a very large exponential value that constantly goes up. And that's how you just dumpster people. So Puyo is I like it more than Tetris. When the game started forcing me to play Tetris, I was like, what the fuck is this bullshit? I don't want to play Tetris. I like Puyo a little bit better than Tetris. But then playing them both together has been it's fun, but I also want to die. So yeah, that's Puyo Tetris. And that's I guess the only other thing I did, Steam had like a demo game festival thing. So I played a bunch of games from that over the weekend. And I wrote up a post about that, which will be good question, actually. Let me look at my schedule here. That post will be out before you are listening to this podcast. So you should go read about a bunch of games that I played in that autumn game festival. Some of them were not so great. Some of them are out now. One of them I'm very keen on playing more of. It was a game called Quantum Protocol. I think that was one of the ones that impressed me the most. And that's coming out soon. It's coming out in November. So cool. It's like a visual novel game with anime waifus who've got big old titties. Then the gameplay portion of it is a card game of hacking. It was pretty fun. I had a lot of fun playing the demo.
I thought you were about to say it was a match 3, and I was like gonna just slap you from across the
No,
screen.
that's Honey Pop, and I played Honey Pop and really liked it. And when Honey Pop 2 is coming out, that's going to get talked about on the podcast. So you have to brace your anus for that one. Thomas will shout out to Thomas, our podcast's current biggest fan. He's also big on the Honey Pop. So when that comes out, we're gonna have to ask a fucking audience question.
We're pretty much done here today, but before we go, we'd like to say thank you for listening. As well,
Yes.
we want to ask you if you could leave us some questions, either that'll be on the Twitter account, Frosty Canucks, or on Frosty's blog when episode 3 post is done.
Yeah, so I post out all of the like podcast links on my blog. So either comment, like Jason said, either comment on the Twitter or on the just leave a comment on the blog, whichever is easier for you. If you for whatever the hell he's gonna ask next, I don't know what. Are we just asking? Are we just soliciting them to ask us questions, or are we asking them for stuff?
Yeah, no, it's whatever questions you want. We'll go through them and see if they
All right.
fit for the episode, and yeah.
Yeah, if you have a question you are burning for our opinions on, just go drop it in either of those, I guess. And if it fits and we got time for it, we'll answer it.
Yeah, no questions like what's my social security number.
Yeah, don't ask any stupid bullshit. Otherwise, that's not gonna get asked or mentioned. We might get mentioned. We might patronize you for it.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Javim Animation. That's JAVM Animation. And you can follow us on the Twitter account, Frosty Canucks. Frosty, you want to shout your stuff out?
Yes, I am at FrostyLight on Twitter. I have a blog, frostylight.ca. I write about video games there. As I said, by the time you're listening to this, there should be a post up about the game demos I played from the Steam Autumn Game Festival that you should go give a read. I also wrote up an extended list of thoughts on Borderlands 3 as a follow-up from my kind of opinions from last episode. By the time you listen to the next episode of this, I should have the Hades post up and there. So yeah, there's tons of stuff actually coming out on the blog. Also, I stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/FrostyLight on Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, it was a good read. You're the good, the bad, and the ugly on
Yeah,
Borderlands 3.
I like that Clint Eastwood reference in the title. Very proud of that.
No, it fit for the game.
Yeah, it really did. Goddamn, that was a game. I just wish the game was better.
I think that's what we want of all games.
Yeah, but it's like I just wish the game was better because it feels like I spent all this time like the metagaming and like the for making the character build was so fun, and I never had a chance or a real reason to use the build once it was done because the gameplay wasn't like satisfying enough. But anyway, if you want to read about all of that, you can go on my blog and Borderlands 3: The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone, and stay frosty.